Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Hello, Middlers. Welcome to episode 135. My name is Stephanie. I am the Medium in the Middle. And for today's episode, I have a different style of episode for you. So I am having the two women from Banff Canmore Ghost Walks on the podcast to have a little spooky conversation about what is ghost walks and some fun ghost stories of Banff. A client of mine actually is a guide for the Banff Canmore Ghost Walks. So I attended a walk last year, and it was really interesting to hear the ghost stories of Banff and just to learn some history. And it's a walk around town, and they kind of take you to different areas, different museums. And it's really interesting to hear some of the stories. And then as a medium, it was interesting to see kind of what I felt or what I was able to be like, yeah, I think that's right, or that kind of sounds far-fetched. So it was really interesting to have the two ladies who run Ghost Walks in Banff on the podcast to talk to them about it, the experience, what it was, because I didn't know that Ghost Walks was like a thing in different towns and cities, and you can go on. Some people travel just for the Ghost Walk, so it's definitely something that I want to start doing when I travel now, is seeing if the town I'm visiting has a Ghost Walk. Because how interesting is that, just to hear about the history of a town or to get some good ghost stories? We all love a good ghost story. And I'm sure if you are listening to this podcast, you love a good ghost story. So before we jump into this episode, I do have a few announcements just to update everybody. There's still a Reiki Level 2 in July, but then Reiki courses will be on pause until September. In August, I'm teaching Reiki Master's course, so that's Reiki Level 3. And also in September, the Mentees in the Middle will be coming back again. I do have a waitlist for that, so it will be sold to the waitlist first and then opening up. So that's really exciting. You can always email me if you want to join the waitlist. And as always, if you want to book appointments with me, I will leave all the links that you need down below in the show notes. But we are going to jump right into this conversation. It was really interesting to talk to these two ladies. So here we go, and I will see you on the other end. So hello, everybody. I'm excited to be here with Maxine and Sam from Banff Canmore Ghost Walks. Hello, ladies. Thank you for joining me on the podcast.
Thanks for having us here.
I'm really excited to talk to you because I just found out about the Ghost Walk tour here in town. I think it was last year or maybe 2 years ago. And then we were able to meet up, which was really fun. But I'm excited to hear because you are also a female-owned, locally owned business. So I would love to hear how you both got into the Ghost Walk tours and maybe what they are, because maybe some listeners don't know what they are.
Totally. I can start. In 2017, a friend of mine were chatting at a concert and kind of made a joke about how we love spooky stories and we love going on ghost walks, and then how we should start our own. And then it kind of got away from us because we partnered with Theatre Canmore and we ended up starting the ghost tour as a one-off Halloween event that year. But it went so well that we decided, hey, let's make this a more permanent thing. So kicked it off with Theatre Canmore, and the next spring is when Sam came into thing. We ended up bringing her on as a guide, and then when Theatre Canmore decided to close at the beginning of the pandemic, we kind of panic launched as our own business.
I wouldn't say panic launch. I would say that we were totally in our right mind, and it was a soft opening.
Absolutely. That's a much better way of saying it. I like that, Sam. That's great.
It's literally fake it till you make it, and that's the verbiage that kind of got us through.
Because the ghost part has always been easy, but the business running part is like, oh, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's super interesting too, because you guys started at the beginning of the pandemic where you weren't allowed to, just so everybody knows, it's a walk around Banff where they tell you stories as you go through the different, and we're going to talk about this more in detail, but there's different locations that they bring you to. So that was not allowed during the pandemic. So your entire business had to stop.
Yes, even though it was
Yeah.
completely outside and
Mm-hmm.
social distanced, we had masks, we had visors. Those were short lived, just because I wear glasses and there was like a whole greenhouse effect.
The
But
visors in the middle of the summer, it was horrible.
they
Like a
Yeah.
were,
magnifying
but
glass over your whole face.
yes, yes. But we
Persevered.
persevered, and yeah, we persevered and we got through our first season somewhat unscathed. So yeah.
And season 2
Interesting.
was wonderful. So,
Yeah,
Yeah, it
open
was
for business.
yeah.
mm-hmm.
And then,
Yeah.
Sam, what is your kind of history with the ghost walks? How did you get pulled into this?
So, as Maxine mentioned, I got pulled in like this the season after Theater Canmore started with the ball rolling, and I lived in a haunted hotel, like it was a boutique hotel here in Canmore. But even previous to that, like I've always been open to the paranormal and had like weird, unexplainable things happen to me. It's almost like a running joke in my family. It really is. But moving to Canmore and then having that experience, I thought, wow, this is insane. And then shortly after moving and finding my own place, I saw an ad on Facebook where Theater Canmore was looking for tour guides to share ghost stories. And I thought, well, I have definitely a story to share. And so that was the season that I started. Towards the end of 2019, I started taking over like the social media and like the posting and content curation and all that good stuff. And beginning of 2020, when Maxine had the opportunity to take over Ghost Walks, I just thought, hey, like let's partner, because this is bigger than just one person. And thank
Yeah.
goodness we did that.
Yeah.
Sam has
Business
been,
is a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think either one of us could have done this solo. Um, and it's been really nice to be able to like divide that up. Like, I do a lot of trawling through museum archives for photos and boring researchy bits, and Sam does a lot of the spreadsheet stuff that completely terrifies me, but she's like a rock star of, and also is so good at finding people who have stories to share. Um,
Yeah, so that brings me to my next question. How
Yeah.
did you pick the stories that you share? Because I've gone on the tour, so I know the stories, but they're all very interesting. Some of them are more historic, some of them I feel like are newer. Where did you collect them from? And then how did you select them? Because I feel like it's Banff. There could be like endless stories with our history.
Well, one of the really useful things has been the White Museum archive of all of the past issues of the Rocky Mountain Outlook and Crag and Canyon newspapers.
Um,
Newspaper archives are a gold mine of wonderful stuff because around Halloween every year, there's always a few articles about locals' experiences with the paranormal. And you go back a few decades and you're getting some wonderful things there. We also looked through other history books about the area, and we reached out to the local community, got some stories, firsthand accounts from people who've experienced both ghosts we've never heard of before that, and some ghosts that are, of course, famously well known around here, like the few at the Banff Springs. Everyone's got a story about those. But
yeah,
the
we all
best part
know
is,
Elevator Sam.
oh yeah, he's
Sam the Elevator
fabulous.
Man.
One of the best parts is on the tour, whenever locals come on, a lot of them are people who are saying, oh, yeah, I've had an experience as well. And so we like to interview them when possible and add that to the folklore that we collect and share.
Very fun. So, would you
Mhm.
say that the stories that you have and where you kind of take people, does that change and evolve, or is it more like adding this, removing something?
Oh, 100%. Like when we do tours, it's not cookie cutter. Like we don't have an exact script of this is what we want. Like we want you to go through stories 1 to 10 kind of thing. What we like to do is we have like an ongoing growing script where there's different stories that are returning from last year, or we've made revisions to it, or we have brand new ones. And we put it up to the guides. We say like, what stories resonate with you? Or we look at the group of people that we have, like if it's mostly females, if it's mostly, or not mostly, I should say, if there's a lot of people that come with a partner that's not necessarily into heavy ghost stories, we'll see how like they're feeling in that moment and kind of tweak it around them. Like I personally like to make mine a little funny because at the end of the day, like we're literally talking about dead people or
Yeah.
like how they may or may not have passed away, right? So it's like, and then you see like everyone get really sad at like certain moments and it's like I can't do this. So I gotta like liven it up with like a dad joke or something. And I feel like people resonate with that after and they're like, yeah, like that was great. Like it wasn't depressing like I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And I feel
That's
like
true.
if you add the comedy, it makes the tragedy more poignant. But if you have the tragedy, it makes the comedy funnier because people are so relieved to hear a joke at that point.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. And then, sorry, just jumping back because I also just learned when I was talking to you, Maxine, that ghost walks are in every city or a lot of major cities. And you even said that some people come here just for the ghost walk. So, can you talk a little bit about that experience and kind of, I didn't know it was a franchise. Is it just people doing it on their own?
It really depends on the city. A lot of them are passionately run small businesses by people who are in that city. They've had experiences or they just love the stories. My first one that I went on was in Victoria, BC, and their ghost walk is just a delight. If you have the chance, it's wonderful. Um, and there are people who go around and everywhere they travel, they find a ghost tour, a paranormal tour. Apparently, vampire tours are a thing in some places. I have not been on one of those. I don't know what that is.
It's big in New Orleans.
Yes. So you can find ghost tours pretty much any large enough city that you go to, and the smaller ones, a lot of them have them even just over Halloween season. I know that Okotoks actually has one around Halloween, which blew my mind. I intend to go this October. Um, but they are all over the place, and you get the people who specifically travel to follow ghost tours in different cities. So they'll say, "Oh, I didn't do anything else here in Banff, but we had to go on yours." And you're like, "Oh, that's a lot of pressure, but thank you."
Yeah. Yeah. Or my personal favorite is they go to like Edinburgh and they do their ghost tour and they're like, because we did it there, we have to do it everywhere. I don't know how I'm going to size up to Edinburgh. Don't get your hopes that high, but that's myself like sabotaging,
Just because
but
we have
it
mostly
worked out.
friendly ghosts, and like none of our ghosts have murdered anyone, doesn't mean they're less scary, right?
I
Fine.
guess that, yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
And I guess that leads me to my next question, what will be, what is the kind of demographic of the people that you see? Is it believers? Is it non-believers? Is it the skeptics? Is it the ghost hunters? Is it the witches? Is it a mix?
It's a huge mix. For mine,
Mhm.
I like to do a little poll at the beginning of my tour of like, who's a hardcore believer and maybe even has experiences, who thinks ghosts are bunk but they like stories, and who's somewhere in the middle. Because I'm a somewhere in the middle person myself, and so I can resonate with those folks.
Yeah. And Sam, where would you put yourself on
Oh,
the scale?
100% true believer, ghost stories of
Oh,
all that. Like
okay.
I've had quite a few experiences that I cannot explain. So I'm going to say it's paranormal for my own sanity. But yeah.
I know. I always say if this stuff wasn't happening to me, I don't know. Like I'm a skeptic. I'm a skeptic. I have a logical thinking brain. I like math. I like knowing how things are happening. But yeah, like you said, there's just so many things that happen, and you're just like, I have to chalk this up to something.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, how do you, I feel like I'm the unlucky one on the tour or lucky for the other guides because then I can share these stories. But I have curtains that have moved by themselves, like left to right, and I can't explain it. And I even had somebody, he took a photo of the Moore cabin and then he took the photo before I even started talking. Like I was just setting myself up and he took the photo. And then just before we left, the curtain moved to like the left 2 inches. Is it a draft? I don't know. But to my knowledge, a draft goes like in and out, not so much left to right.
And to be clear, this is a house that is no one lives in there. It is locked. You can't get in there. So when they're doing the
Exactly.
tours, you're looking at an empty little cabin that's in front of a museum.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one
Yeah.
of the ones where Sam has had so many things happen during her tours there. And I go there and I stand like on the doorstep and I just beg the ghost to do something. And I think they don't like me.
Yeah. Actually, that leads me into my next question, and maybe we'll start with Sam because I know you have a lot. What is maybe your most fond memory, or like the biggest thing that happens or stood out to you? Because I know you said a lot of things have happened to you while on tour, but is there one that like you always remember?
Yeah, like I'm gonna say there was a family that came. It was, I think, 3 women in the group, but she was younger. I'd say she was probably like college age, or just getting into like university kind of thing. And we were standing in front of the Luxton house, and I was going through like the whole list of stories that we have there, but I started talking not so much about the history. I kind of pivoted into the more recent paranormal activity, and we're told that there is a young girl spirit that likes to visit the Luxton house as well as the surrounding homes in the area, so like Tanglewood and a bunch of other places. Now, at the Luxton house, she's known to make appearances to people and like say a quick hello and then just disappear behind a wall, and then you won't see her again. And like the house will be completely empty. So I started talking about how I had a previous guest tell me that they saw a little girl in the upper window. They have almost like an attic space, I want to say, with a window that just juts out. And it's a single pane that is visible with a bit of a curtain. So at the time that this woman saw this apparition, the curtains used to be a little bit higher. I don't know why they put it down, but at this point, she saw a little girl and a little boy looking down at us with their hands under their chin, kind of admiring the group. And just as I finished talking about that, she started to kind of like wipe at her poncho. Like it was kind of raining that day, so she was wearing a poncho, and she just kept trying to shake something off of her poncho. And I thought that was kind of weird, but I wasn't about to like stop the story and ask her what she was doing because that would have been super awkward. And so we finished up at that location, and I was about to move on to the next spot when she stops me and says, "Sam, I swear to you, I felt a little girl grab my hand." And that's why I kept shaking it off, because it was just the creepiest thing I've ever felt. And they actually went on to come back, and they did a tour with Maxine actually. And
it's
they,
those folks. Oh, I loved them. They were so nice and creepy.
They were really nice. So like the fact that like she was able to like feel something in front of me, that was a first. So that one really gets me. Yeah.
Ooh.
That, and I've had people tell me that they've seen a dark shadow behind me pacing behind the morgue cabin, which is one of the reasons why I will not put my back to the building anymore. So that was another one that'll stick with me for a long time.
And then
Yeah.
Maxine, when they came on your tour, did anything weird happen?
They had mentioned that they were on the tour before at the beginning, and they are like, "We had to bring our friend. We had so much fun last time." And then we get to the end of the tour, and they're like, "Here's everything that happened to us." And I'm like, "What? All through the tour? This is amazing." Because they looked a little uncomfortable at a few of the stops, but they didn't say anything. So I'm like, all right, maybe they're tired. I don't know. And we get to the end, and they're telling me that at a couple of the places they felt a little something, but at Luxton House again, that same location, pardon me, at the same location, all 3 of the women in this group saw the curtains moving up top, and then they said 2 figures. I assume it was the same 2 figures. standing in the window up there, and they said that they got a really negative impression off of that. And a couple other people who were in my group said that they had also seen things moving up there. I would love if people on my tour would tell me when they see these things, because I would really love the chance to see them too, because I just really want to see a ghost. But I think maybe these folks, I don't know if they're just way more sensitive than anyone else I've had on that tour, because I hardly get people seeing things at Luxton, but both times they have, so I'm pretty impressed with their skills.
Do you get often people kind of reporting things on the tour? Is that a common thing to happen?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
I could say between us and the other guides, at least once a week, minimum.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
And
yeah.
is it have something to do with the ghosts that you're talking about, or is it just like kind of weird paranormal things that happen?
Usually it'll be something to do with what we're talking about. A lot of the times it's somebody who before the tour starts will say, oh, I'm sensitive, or I do speak with spirits. And then as you're heading around, I bring up on my tour information that I've been told by other persons who uh, have mentioned that they can also communicate. So I'll mention that, and they'll go, well, I'm getting this. Because I really like inviting people by saying, like, other people have told me this. I like inviting them to also weigh in on that, because why not have more of a collaborative tour with people who are
Yeah.
able to filling in a bit. Also, sometimes just big things like noises. Sam had something like that a couple weeks ago. Didn't you have a knocking?
I had knocking at the Moore cabin. I did not hear the knocking. It was at
Tell
the front
us.
door. So we had, I don't even remember how long ago this was. It was at least 2 weeks ago. It was like a young couple that was there, and they went right up to the cabin. But I stayed, like, obviously, I don't really leave the gravel path or the sidewalk. I'm not comfortable with going any closer to the cabin. But everyone else is like, oh, yeah, take photos. Like, go crazy, you know?
I stand on the
But this
front step.
couple, yeah, you guys stand on the front step. I will not. I refuse. I used to do the cabin stories in the parking lot behind it. So there's like a little bit of a walkway along the river, which is like more scenic, but there's also a lot of elk activity. And I've had one too many close calls there, and also will not put my back to the cabin. And I don't feel comfortable making other people put their back to the cabin, because I don't think they would be my friend after I share the story about like the dark figure that may or may not be lurking there. But
lurking there.
sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. But this one couple in particular, they came running, and they looked like they had seen a ghost. Like, they were pale, and they're like, there was a knock at the door. Like, I heard it from the inside. And I thought, well, a draft can't do that. So what is it? Like, sometimes, granted, I will see the curtain on the front door move, but I think that that's like the HVAC system or something that they have in there that goes. But the windows on either side of the front door, on the left-hand side, I rarely see any activity there. But on the right-hand side, closest to the fireplace, I will see that curtain move like inches at a time from left to right. How that's a draft, I don't know.
That happened on my tour last night. It was
that it fully moved?
Yeah, it was really exciting. It was doing a bit of a sway, and then it shifted to the side a little, and it's never done that around me before. And I was like, ooh, I don't know if that's a draft or ghost, but I like it either way. It's exciting.
To me, I don't like that window, because to me it makes me feel like there's somebody standing there holding the window open to
Yeah,
look
that's
out.
the vibe that I got when I walked by there too. And it was interesting because you also have, we will say, like, you're guiding around, people who are into this stuff, or maybe they're skeptics. So we're looking for it. Like, even when I was going, normally I'm not like, ooh, what do I feel in every location I'm standing in? I'm like, I'm on a ghost tour. Of course I'm going to do that. So it's like, oh, what do I feel? Like, oh, what do I see? Like, yeah, let's stare into the window. Let's figure out all these things.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about this before, but I just, for the podcast listeners, you do get a lot of mediums and so-called mediums that come on. Maybe do you have any stories to share about that?
A couple years ago, we did, it was a conference in Canmore 2 weekends in a row for psychic mediums. And so for 2 weekends in a row, we did these huge private tours of all mediums. And I think that is the most chaotic but fun one we've ever done.
I could see it being chaotic because we're not all going to pick up on the same things.
Oh, no.
And also, like,
there was fighting. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, people were not agreeing on what they were getting. And most of the group was getting kind of the same thing. And then there were like 3 women who were off getting their own very different stuff. And there was some serious tension going on there. I found it very amusing. I'm sure they found it slightly less amusing.
Frustrating, yeah.
But
I think that's true too. Like, being in this world, it's always interesting of like, yeah, are you getting information? Are you just making this up? Do you just want a little bit of attention on this ghost walk? Like, what is your intention here? So it's interesting to see, like, yeah, the types of people that would come and then who would speak up.
Totally. Because there's some who were just quiet, and I was like, I feel like you're getting stuff, but just enjoying it and keeping it to yourself. And there were a couple women who were like, talked at every single stop and needed to have what they were getting every single time. I say women, but the whole tour was women both times we did it, because I don't know why that's who that goes to the medium conferences, but it is.
Ooh, interesting. So we actually have a special ghost walk coming up, which I'm very excited to share. On July 26th, I will be joining a tour and giving my 2 cents, if I have any, and also sharing some of the stories that I have from Banff as well, because I've worked at the Fairmont and I have a few very spooky things that have happened to me. And if you are a podcast listener, you probably know about episode 18 and the graveyard story with James. It was James. And I'm excited to share that one on the tour too, because that was a freaky one. And I know I've told you guys that story, walking by the graveyard, just, going for lunch, what we do here in Banff. So yeah, I will leave the link down below to book that special tour, but I will also leave all the links to book a Banff and Canmore tour. So you do them both in Banff and Canmore nightly. People can join. You can register in advance. If there's still tickets, you can register day of. Is that correct?
Nightly in Banff and Friday and Saturday nights in Canmore.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And I would suggest doing both of them if you're going to be around, because you want to know all the ghost stories. And they're about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Is that correct? The tours?
Yeah, around that generally.
Yeah, it depends on how much fun we have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How many ghosts show up, how many moving curtains there are.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah.
I will leave all the links down below in the show notes for everything Banff Canmore Ghost Walks. But I really appreciate you two coming on. That was so fun, and I'm excited to do a tour with you. But thank you. And what is your website?
Our website is banffcanmoreghostwalks.ca. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram, the same handle, Banff Canmore Ghost Walks.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much. This was so fun, and I'm looking forward to our very special walk, and then we'll have more spooky stories to talk about.
Yay.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having us, Steph.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that was so fun. Thank you again to Sam and Maxine from Banff Canmore Ghost Walks for coming on. I'm excited to do the special tour. If we can do more in the summer, we will, but we're starting off with this one at the end of July, and then we will see what else we can fit in for the rest of the summer. But I love a good ghost tour, a good ghost walk, a good ghost story. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you haven't already, I would love and appreciate a rating and a review wherever you listen to podcasts. It really helps me out in the podcast world. And I will leave all the links for Banff Canmore Ghost Walks, for our special walk together, to book appointments with me. Everything you could need is down in the show notes. But until next Wednesday, Middlers, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you in your ears then. Bye, everybody.